Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. You're watching News at 6 with me, Aishwarya Kapoor. Well, in the next half an hour, we'll focus on how, as the Delhi polls are nearing, the star campaigners are out. They are wooing the voters. That will be the top story in the next half an hour. We'll take you some other updates as well. But first, the headlines. In Delhi elections, political bigwigs including Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Sonia Gandhi address rallies in the city. Aam Aadmi Party unveils its poll manifesto. Central government to set up a special investigation team to reinvestigate 1984 anti-Sikh riot cases which were closed by the police and did not reach courts. Ahead of the meeting with her Chinese counterpart on Monday, Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj announces that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit China in May. Islamic State terrorists claim they have beheaded second Japanese hostage. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe denounces killing, pledges retaliation. And tennis star Leander Paes bags his 15th Grand Slam title, wins the Australian Open mixed doubles title with his partner Martina Hingis. Well, our top story, it was a busy weekend for senior leaders of both the BJP and the Congress who addressed voters in many places in Delhi. BJP's star campaigner Prime Minister Narendra Modi lent his weight for Kiran Bedi, while Sonia Gandhi listed her party's achievements for the national capital. Take a look.
In the high-stakes campaign for the Delhi Assembly election, both the BJP and the Congress unleashed their top leaders on Sunday. Both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Sonia Gandhi raised the poll pitch in various areas of the city. Addressing a gathering in West Delhi's Dwarka area, Modi said he was now a resident of Delhi and intended to keep all his promises to the city's voters.
दिल्ली मुझे 7 लोकसभा की सीटें दें और पूर्ण बहुमत की दिल्ली में सरकार बनाने के लिए अवसर दे, इससे बड़ी कोई बात नहीं होती है भाइयों। आपने मुझे वो दिया है, अब मुझे ब्याज समेत उसे लौटाना है। विकास करके लौटाना है, यहां की समस्याओं का समाधान करके लौटाना है। और इसलिए मेरे भाइयों बहनों, मुझे आप सेवा करने का मौका दीजिए।
The BJP's chief ministerial candidate Kiran Bedi exhorted voters to help her translate Modi's dreams into a reality.
हमारी सारी सरकार, सारे मंत्री लोग आपसे जुड़े रहेंगे, आपके हमारे पार्टी के लीडरशिप आपसे जुड़े रहेंगे, हमारे तमाम कार्यकर्ता आपसे जुड़े रहेंगे ताकि आपके विचार सुनते रहें। हम आपको वो सरकार दें जो आपको चाहिए। ये सरकार आपकी है, ये सरकार सबकी है, ये सबकी सरकार है जो हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी के सपने साकार करने वाली है, दिल्ली को वर्ल्ड क्लास सिटी बनाने वाली है।
Congress President Sonia Gandhi targeted both the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party in her speech. She listed the party's achievements while charging her rivals of making false promises to people.
जिनको हमने समर्थन दिया, वे 1.5 महीने भी सरकार नहीं चला पाए, जिम्मेदारी छोड़कर चले गए। फिर आई भाजपा सरकार, वो भी चुनाव कराने की जगह अपनी जिम्मेदारी निभाने की बजाय चुनाव टालती रही और दिल्ली को अपने हाल पर छोड़ दिया।
Elections for the 70-member Delhi Assembly will be held in a single phase on 7th of February and the counting of votes will take place on 10th of February. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, as Delhi gets ready to elect a new assembly, one of the most important issues that political parties are highlighting is that of women's security. Today, it was the turn of the Aam Aadmi Party to unveil its plans to make women feel safer in the national capital. Take a look.
The Aam Aadmi Party is going all out to secure the women's vote. Among the slew of promises that the party chief Arvind Kejriwal is making for them are CCTV cameras, security guards in buses and free Wi-Fi facilities to ensure their safety.
पूरे दिल्ली के अंदर आम आदमी पार्टी 10 से 15 लाख सीसीटीवी कैमरा लगाएंगे। हर बस के अंदर एक सिक्योरिटी गार्ड बिठाएंगे। हर महिला को अपने मोबाइल फोन पे एक सुरक्षा बटन देंगे।
Targeting their strongest rival, the BJP, Kejriwal slammed the central government for removing CCTV cameras after the departure of US President Barack Obama.
राष्ट्रपति बारक साहब के लिए तो 15,000 सीसीटीवी कैमरे लगवा दिए, लेकिन हमारी महिलाओं के लिए एक भी सीसीटीवी कैमरा लगाने के लिए उनके पास पैसे नहीं थे, फंड नहीं थे।
Given the prevalence of crime against women in Delhi, their safety is high on the list of campaign promises made by all political parties. Besides promising several measures to ensure their protection against crime, the BJP has maintained that its CM nominee will take several steps to reduce crime against women and ensure their empowerment, safety and security. The Congress has also claimed that it will increase the number of women in the police force, install CCTV cameras and make all public transport Wi-Fi enabled. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
All right, my colleague Kriti Mishra, who is in fact tracking this story very, very closely, is now joining us live. Kriti, very interesting manifesto there. We saw Aam Aadmi Party. It's very clear that just ahead of the assembly elections in the national capital, promises galore as far as the safety of women are concerned.
Exactly, Aishwarya. After the Delhi gang rape case, the issue of women's security acquired paramount importance in Delhi's electoral arena. So women have also demanded concrete steps from political classes and also administrative classes to secure their safety. So Aam Aadmi Party is leaving no stone unturned to garner support of the females, and AAP chief Kejriwal today reiterated umpteen promises, from installing CCTV cameras to deputing guards to fixing street lights and to providing safety app. He also fired salvo at its principal political foe, that is the BJP, and he also highlighted several steps made by the BJP leaders, anti-women statements made by the BJP leaders in the past few months. He also questioned retention of Nihal Chand as a minister after his alleged involvement in the rape case. So BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party both are using all the bows in their quiver to puncture each other's prospects. Back to you, Aishwarya.
Right, Kriti, very interesting points that in fact AAP is making there. But the point is, as far as fielding of women candidates is concerned, it seems that no political party is actually scoring points, because we see only 19 women have been fielded as far as these elections are concerned. That is the total of BJP, Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party.
That's right, Aishwarya. The BJP has fielded 8 women candidates, including its chief ministerial candidate Kiran Bedi and former Union Minister Krishna Tirath. The Aam Aadmi Party has given tickets to 6 women candidates, whereas the Congress has given tickets to only 5 women candidates. So now this development reignites the debate whether women are getting adequate representation in Parliament and in state assemblies, and also focuses whether it's high time to focus on the Women's Reservation Bill pending in Parliament since a very long time. Back to Aishwarya.
All right, Kriti, thank you so much for that. We'll keep coming back to you in subsequent bulletins for more on that. And well, all right, let's move on in the bulletin now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit China in May this year. Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj in fact conveyed this today ahead of the Russia-India-China trilateral meeting on Monday. Sushma is in China on a 4-day visit, which comes barely a week after China reacted strongly to US supporting India for a seat in the nuclear suppliers group.
External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit China in May this year. The PM's trip is a reciprocal one by President Xi Jinping to India in September last year. In a speech to the India-China Media Forum earlier today, Sushma said that India is committed to resolve the boundary issue with the neighbour.
We have made considerable progress in establishing and expanding defence contacts and exchanges, including across our borders. They contribute to the maintenance of peace and tranquility, a prerequisite for the further development of our relationship. On the boundary question, my government is committed to exploring an early settlement.
She also suggested a new 6-point template to build ties. Sushma spoke about PM's engagement with the Chinese leadership since taking office, saying the new momentum in ties would be accelerated.
A critical change in the nature of our bilateral ties over the last few decades has been its growing economic dimension. China is today our largest partner in trade in goods. The two countries and the two economies are moving to invest in each other. Serious discussions on enhancing connectivity have been initiated.
Sushma's maiden visit to China also focused on opening the additional route for the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, for which preparations are on. She also highlighted China's cooperation in PM's Make in India initiative.
Another major thrust is in establishing industrial parks in two Indian states that would contribute to the Make in India initiative. We will make it easier for Chinese companies to do business in India and expect that similar encouragement would be given to our companies to expand their business in China.
Sushma's visit is seen as a crucial one, with India seeking to allay Chinese concerns over a joint statement between India and the US during President Barack Obama's visit last week. China had reacted angrily to the India-US statement last week, hinting that they won't make it easy for India to become a member of the nuclear suppliers group. Beijing had also criticized both Obama and Modi for statements calling for freedom of navigation and overflight throughout the region, especially in the South China Sea. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
All right, we'll take a very short break here. Coming up ahead, jet fuel prices will now cost less than diesel after price slash. That and much more after a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back after the break. You're watching News at 6. Now, the centre is likely to order fresh probe in the 1984 Sikh rights cases. According to sources, the committee headed by a former Supreme Court Judge, Justice G.P. Mathur, submitted its report to Home Minister Rajnath Singh last week. An official announcement is likely soon after the Delhi polls. Now, the move is seen by Congress as an attempt to woo voters ahead of the elections.
30 years after the anti-Sikh riots in Delhi, the centre is likely to order fresh probe. It has reportedly decided to set up an SIT to probe cases which were closed by the police and did not reach courts. A panel constituted by the government under Justice G.P. Mathur submitted its report saying there are 225 such cases which need a relook. In its report, the committee has said that in many cases crucial evidence were overlooked and there should be a fresh probe. A delegation of Shiromani Akali Dal leaders met Home Minister Rajnath Singh on Sunday seeking justice for the riot victims.
सूत्रों से हमें पता लगा कि उन्होंने एसआईटी के गठन की रिकमेंडेशंस दी हैं और हमने माननीय होम मिनिस्टर को कहा है कि अकाली दल और सिख कम्युनिटी पिछले 31 साल हो गए हैं, इंसाफ के लिए लड़ रहे हैं। समय आ गया है कि जो रिकमेंडेशंस उन्होंने दी हैं उसको लागू किया जाए। उन्होंने क्योंकि इस वक्त इलेक्शन का दौर है, वो कह रहे हैं मैं इस पे कुछ कह नहीं सकता, लेकिन जो जस्टिस होगा वो मैं जरूर करूंगा।
ये एक इंटरनेशनल मुद्दा है और यहाँ पे हार्डली किसी को सजा हुई है। दिल्ली में 3000 सिखों का कत्ल हुआ मगर किसी को सजा नहीं हुई, केस खुद ही बंद कर दिए गए। उनको रीओपन करके उनको रीइन्वेस्टिगेट करना ये तो बहुत ही जरूरी है।
Though the Home Ministry denied the reports, Congress is crying foul over the timing of the information. However, BJP dismissed Congress's allegation that the move is an attempt to woo voters ahead of the Delhi Assembly polls.
सुना है रीओपन की है तो करने जा रहे हैं, तो हमें अच्छा लगा, ठीक है जी। और जो सरकार इलेक्शन होते हैं तो सब कुछ करने लग जाती है, उसके बाद फिर चुप हो जाते हैं जी। बस आगे पीछे तो कोई पूछता नहीं है।
Coming as it does on the heels of five or 6 days prior to Delhi elections, why was Mr. Modi and BJP sleeping for 9 months when they were in power in centre as also in Delhi? Is it only an electoral ploy? Is it only a gimmick that Mr. Modi takes out of his hat to woo voters? I think if this is so, then it is deprecable.
ना अभी इसके बारे में हमको ये ज्ञान नहीं है क्योंकि वो चर्चा करना पड़ेगा। मंत्रालय में अभी चर्चा में नहीं आया। नहीं, वो किसी भी चीज को चुनाव की दृष्टि से जोड़ के नहीं देखना चाहिए।
The families of the victims have alleged that Delhi police ignored evidence and witness accounts under political pressure and closed these cases. Home Minister Rajnath Singh had recently described the riots as genocide and assured the victims that the government will bring the culprits to justice. According to sources, some of the cases that are likely to be reinvestigated involve Congress leaders Sajjan Kumar and Jagdish Tytler. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's take a look at some other stories from across the nation in Nationwide. Former Union Minister Assam Mating Singh has been arrested by CBI in connection with the Sarada scam. He was arrested in Kolkata for allegedly exploiting the Sarada group. CBI had summoned Singh for questioning several times. He turned up on a Saturday and was arrested after several hours of questioning. He was later admitted to a hospital after he complained of stomach ailments. Jet fuel price was today cut by a steep 11.3% and now costs less than diesel. Last month, its rate had fallen below the price at which petrol is sold. The new reduction has led to ATF becoming cheaper than even diesel. Meanwhile, the price of non-subsidized domestic cooking gas was also cut by 103.5 rupees per cylinder. However, there are no changes in the petrol and diesel prices. Former Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot has tested positive for swine flu. In a tweet, Gehlot said that his condition has improved after starting treatment in time. Gehlot had gone for a test after he complained of fever, cough and cold. According to reports, 258 people succumbed to the virus in Rajasthan alone. 11 people were killed and 15 others were injured when a truck collided with another in Rajasthan, Jodhpur today. There were around 60 people on board the truck when the collision took place. Those who have been injured have been admitted to a government hospital. Well, on to some international news, and the Islamic State has claimed that they have beheaded the second Japanese hostage, Kenji Goto. The incident comes 2 days after the deadline set by the group for prisoner swaps passed off without any reaction from either Japan or Jordan. An outraged Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe vowed to hunt down the perpetrators, announcing support to anti-Islamic State coalition.
Japan is outraged after the Islamic State reportedly beheaded the second Japanese hostage, Kenji Goto. A video released by the group purportedly showed the killing of the veteran war correspondent. Goto was captured by militants in late October.
Abe, because of your reckless decision to take part in an unwinnable war, this knife will not only slaughter Kenji, but will also carry on and cause carnage wherever your people are found. So let the nightmare for Japan.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe vowed to hunt down the perpetrators. He even went on to say that Japan would not give in to terrorism and would expand support to countries fighting IS. The international community also condemned the beheading.
後藤健二さんを殺害したとみられる動画が公開されました。ご家族のご心痛を思うと言葉もありません。
We stand together with the people of Japan and indeed with all our allies against terrorism wherever it rears.
Terrible shock for the people of Japan, an unspeakable horror for the family, and this just demonstrates how important it is that all countries do what they reasonably can to disrupt and degrade this death cult which has ushered in a new dark age.
Jordan too condemned the beheading as they get ready for a prisoner swap with the group in exchange for a Jordanian pilot still held captive. After the latest video of beheading, even the pilot's fate remains unclear.
مضي ما يقارب 40 يوما على أسر الطيار معاذ الكساسبي ومحاولة اللجنة الوطنية وأسرة الطيار للحصول على أي معلومات أو بيانات من قبل الحكومة الأردنية.
Just a week before the IS had beheaded Goto's fellow Japanese captive Haruna Yukawa. In Japan, people gathered in front of Prime Minister's office in Tokyo to hold silent protest in solidarity with Kenji Goto. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And news from Africa, where the nations there have opened up a new international front in the war on terror. The African Union is to deploy close to 7,500 troops to fight the militant group Boko Haram in northeast Nigeria. The international community is also rallying behind the Union, with the US also promising more technical support, training and equipment. Nigeria has found support for its fight against Boko Haram. The African Union is sending close to 7,500 troops to help fight the terrorists in northeast Nigeria. 4 neighbors, Benin, Cameroon, Chad and Niger, have agreed to contribute the troops. The African Union announced this on the closing day of a summit of AU leaders in the Ethiopian capital.
Terrorism, in particular the brutality of Boko Haram against our people, The senseless killings now spread to the region beyond Nigeria, to Chad, Niger, and Cameroon, and this requires a response that is collective, effective, and decisive to achieve the desired results.
The international community, including the US and Iran, rallied against the Islamist insurgent group. This even as Boko Haram has increased attacks in the run-up to elections on 14th of Feb, in which the President Goodluck Jonathan is seeking a second term. Boko Haram, that began guerrilla operations in 2009 to create an Islamic State, has now taken control of many towns and villages in northeast Nigeria.
I welcome the decision of African Union and particular regional countries to establish a multinational joint task force to address Boko Haram. I'm asking that those terrorists should be addressed by regional and international coordination and cooperation.
The developments come even as the Boko Haram Islamist militants have launched a fresh assault on the strategically important Nigerian city of Maiduguri today morning. Last week, Boko Haram's attempt to capture the capital of Borno State was repelled by the Nigerian army with heavy loss of life. Boko Haram provoked international outrage in April when it kidnapped 276 schoolgirls at a boarding school in the remote town of Chibok. Dozens escaped on their own, but 219 remain missing. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Let's now get you more international news in Global Buzz. Italian Parliament has elected Constitutional Court Judge Sergio Mattarella as the country's new president. Mattarella will succeed Giorgio Napolitano. His candidacy was promoted by Prime Minister Matteo Renzi and his centre-left Democratic Party. Now, Mattarella had earlier served as minister in several cabinets. Ukraine peace talks collapsed yet again without reaching an agreement on ceasefire. Both Ukraine's representatives and separatist envoys accused each other of sabotaging the meeting. Officials said that discussions are unlikely to resume today. Meanwhile, fighting countries in Ukrainian border, at least 15 soldiers were killed and several others were injured on Saturday. After a short lull, pro-democracy protesters are back in the streets of Hong Kong. It is their first big rally since the mass demonstrations last year. A large battalion of police forces have been deployed to stop the protesters from reoccupying key areas. Now, protesters said that they will continue their mission and asked people to join the democracy movement. At least 13 people were killed in a fire in a plastic packaging factory in Bangladesh on Saturday. Several factory workers suffered severe burns and they were rushed to the hospitals. 18 firefighting units brought the blaze under control after 2 hours of operation. Police officials are investigating the cause really for the fire break. And on to sports now, where Leander Paes clinched his 15th Grand Slam title by winning the Australian Open mixed doubles title. Paes partnered Martina Hingis to defeat Daniel Nestor and Kristina Mladenovic in straight sets to take the title. Take a look.
Final of the Australian Open.
Leander Paes and his Swiss partner Martina Hingis were up against the defending champions Daniel Nestor and Kristina Mladenovic in the mixed doubles final. The third-seed pair of Nestor and Kristina had defeated the Indo-Brazilian pair of Sania Mirza and Bruno Soares in the semi-final. The seventh-seed Indo-Swiss pair broke their opponents early to take a 3-0 lead in the first set. At 4-5 down, Nestor double-faulted to give up the first set by 6-4 in 29 minutes.
Terrible service game from Nestor 6 games to 4. That cost them the first set, 6 games to 4.
In the second set, Paes and Hingis were broken early, but they broke back their opponents twice to go by 5-3 up. In the ninth game, Hingis hit a back-paddling smash to seal the straight set 6-4, 6-3 victory in just over an hour.
Today it was just a matter of patience, and eventually our understanding of the game of tennis, our understanding of each other came through, and it's just a treat to win your 16th, no?
16th.
Her 16th, my 15th.
It was like always like every point counts, and there was a huge difference today that it was not as physical maybe, but it was more of a mental match today.
The victory gave 41-year-old Pace his 7th mixed doubles Grand Slam title and his 15th overall. For Hingis, it was her 11th doubles title apart from a 5 singles title. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And let's get you all the other sports news in Sports Beat. Australia thrashed England by 122 runs in the final of the Tri-Series at Perth today. Batting first, Australia scored 279 runs with Glenn Maxwell top scoring with 95 runs. In reply, England put up a poor batting display and were bundled out for just 166 runs. Maxwell also took 4 wickets to win the Man of the Match award for his all-round performance. Hosts Australia won Asian Cup with a 2-1 victory over South Korea in the final in Sydney. Australia took the lead just before the half-time, but a dramatic injury time goal from Korea pushed the match into extra time. James Tribe-Osei scored the winning goal to hand Australia their maiden Asian Cup title. Chelsea maintained their 5-point advantage over Manchester City at the top of the Premier League table after a 1-1 draw at Stamford Bridge. Loic Lemmy gave Chelsea the lead just before the interval, but David Silva replied almost instantly for City after a rare error from Chelsea goalkeeper. Chelsea is now at the top of the table with 53 points from 23 games. Well, that's all in this edition of News at 6. Thanks for watching.